I mean, fourth or fifth different team for Norman Natto in as many seasons. So a bit of a journeyman.
Where's he going to go, Norman Natto?
Well, don't ask me, because I've told you two different stories about Stoffel Van Dorn already. So I'm not the man to ask. Anyway, 3 minutes to go of this session. Wehrlein just pops himself up into fifth fastest. You see some attack mode laps now coming in. The name's flashing pink on the left-hand side of your screen means they go up from 300 to 350 kilowatts of power. Mitch Evans on a flyer here as he negotiates his way through this final sector, up over the rise into turns 20 and 21 to complete the lap. Really tight and clumsy through here. Yep. Out of the final corner and across the timing line. What does Mitch Evans do here? He goes fastest by 0.08 of a second ahead of Oliver Rowland. Van Dorn also looking pretty handy here. We should expect to see this. Again, track getting a little bit faster, but he runs it deep there into 20. And that's going to cost him a few tenths of a second or so. I don't think it'll be the top of the pile here for Stoffel Van Dorn. Indeed, it isn't. He goes second quickest. What about his teammate, Jean-Eric Vergne? Looks like he'll be staying with DS Penske for the 2025 season, leading that charge, trying to bring home another Formula E title, and he goes to the top of the pile by 0.2 of a second. So now drivers are beginning to do their sort of late free practice qualifying simulations here, Alan.
Yeah, Jake Hughes popped himself up into second. Now Cassidy crosses the line. And radio.
We're going to have to do the 350 next lap, just looking at the clock.
Yep, that's fine. Let's take our time. Let's do the 350 properly, and that's all good. If you want to do double call, it's okay with me.
Yep, we got time
if that
to do
puts us
that.
on a better, it just depends on the sequence of the others.
Yeah, we got time to do that. Yep.
And I assume what he means by that, the sequence of others, is, you know, if others are on a slower lap or a build lap, he doesn't want to get caught behind them when he's on his push.
Yeah, he clearly wants to make sure that he has got that clean lap, and that's what the team have got to look at, is who is on a fast lap now. As you see, most drivers getting very much out of the way. However, Sergio Sette Camera, for example, there on his lap, and now it's a little bit like the M25, the local motorway round about London, where everybody's sort of bottled up a little bit.
Yeah, it's like an average speed camera zone down there at the moment, isn't it? They're just sort of negotiating their way through traffic. Blue flags are flying. Here is Sergio Sette Camera, currently slowest of the drivers. Only 1.5 seconds separating some 22 drivers at the moment. But you can see them here. Just where on earth do you pick your points in order to be able to go for your flying lap? They're all slowing up with one another. It's only free practice. It doesn't matter too much. But you can see here, just, again, all concertinas up. And even Sette Camera there, just getting in the way of his teammate Dan Ticktum, who's trying to make some room.
He's now looking in his mirrors behind him as Evans through the chicane. He looks as if he's got a sweet spot there, actually, because he's got a long way up to the next driver ahead of him that's actually in this next corner. So he's in a really, really nice place, Evans, to finish off this lap.
Yeah, let's see what happens here then for Mitch Evans. Personal best for him in the first sector. Dropped a bit of time there in sector 2. But negotiating his way pretty well. Currently third quickest. As we said, the Jaguar expecting them to be strong here this weekend off the back of them. You can see on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, that's Sebastian Buemi, who's looking like he's trying to ascend his way up the order. Wehrlein ends the session currently 10th fastest. He will go no better than that at the end of FP1. Over the line goes Evans, and he stays third quickest. Buemi improves, though, up to second in the Envision, so that's a good lap time there for him. What about Oliver Rowland as well? Again, personal best in the first sector, drops time, though, in sector 2. Across the timing line then comes Oliver Rowland, and he's going to take the checker flag and remain 7th fastest, just under 0.3 of a second behind. Antonio Felix da Costa never finished inside the top 4 here in London, so not a particularly happy hunting ground for the Portuguese driver. Outside chance, though, of the Drivers' Championship here this weekend, and a possibility for Porsche also to wrap up the team's title as well, but they've got a bit of a mountain to climb. See the car moving under braking going into turn 16 there.
It's bouncing around all the time around here as now he accelerates up the hill. Car will take off very lightly there as he comes into the braking area. He's got a right and left to go very tight, tries to get over to the right-hand side, doesn't quite make it completely across. It accelerates out, a bit of oversteer across the line, 6th place.
Gunther also improving up to 6th fastest in the Maserati. Dennis right up against the wall, but he's lost time in that final sector. 15th it is for the reigning world champion. How long will he be the reigning world champion for, though? Will it last until Sunday, or will it be crowned tomorrow here as well? Norman Natto, 19th quickest, his teammate. There is Jake Hughes. Good session for him in the Neon McLaren. 5th fastest for the young Briton. 3rd fastest, beg your pardon. And Jean-Eric Vergne Great start to the weekend then for him at a circuit, as I said earlier on, not been a particularly happy hunting ground. No points for him so far here at the London XL circuit.
It's still a good start. It's always nice to top the timesheets. But if you look down through it, another person that didn't quite get a clean run was, or I presume so, was Pascal Wehrlein down in 13th as they're all lining up for the practice starts.
And Nick Cassidy also only in 11th there as well, Alan, so not a great session for those two.
Yeah, but remember we heard Nick Cassidy saying about your 350 is going to be later. It looks like he did get compromised on that 350 lap, and so therefore didn't improve his time. So I think there's definitely some time in the pocket. And when we talk about that, he's actually 3.5 tenths of a second from Jean-Eric Vergne's fastest. So, you know, it's within the boundaries of it, but for Pascal Wehrlein, there's a little bit to do. His teammate, though, is a little bit further up with Antonio Felix da Costa up in 7th.
Yeah, 22 drivers separated by just 1.1 seconds at the checkered flag. So very keen to see what is going to happen as we head into free practice 2 tomorrow morning. Then, of course, into qualifying. Slightly later start than we would have normally here in London. So action will be kicking off at 10 o'clock local time on Saturday morning for free practice 2, 12:20 for qualifying, and then 5 p.m. will be the race. But it is Jean-Eric Vergne who is the quickest man of all, ahead of Sebastian Buemi and Jake Hughes. The first of the championship contenders is Mitch Evans in 4th. We're going to unpack it all here with Nicky. Let's head down to Nicky and the team and catch up on all the latest.
Thank you very much, Tom. What an interesting session that was. Now, obviously, it is only FP1. So how much can we really read into it? I mean, looking at the championship contenders, Mitch Evans, P4, Nick Cassidy, P11, da Costa, 7th, Pascal Wehrlein, 13th. That's not necessarily what we're expecting. However, potentially this just doesn't play into their strategy. You know, do they want to be at the top in FP1, Andre?
You always want to be at the top because that gives you confidence, but we don't really know exactly what happened, if they got really well through their attack power laps, and if they put all the laps together. You know, FP1 drivers take a bit more risk to find the limits, and then FP2 is a bit of a better sign because you figured out how to warm up the tires, how to put all the pieces together. But yeah, it is surprising because I was expecting these guys at the front, but yeah, spice things up.
Yeah, you mentioned there about the tyre temperature, which I'd love to ask you about, because obviously tomorrow we are luckily going to be enjoying some beautiful weather for a change in London. Obviously, we're going to be inside though. So outside, the tarmac's going to be, you know, air temperature will be about 30 degrees. Inside, we've got some air conditioning, not quite enough, but the temperature inside, the track temperature, is going to be hugely different. How will that affect the drivers during the course of the race?
I don't know. I mean, in off-road, I feel it if I'm down to the rim, and that's pretty much it. So I guess for Andre, it's a bit different in the...
No, it is very difficult track physically. It's really difficult to understand why, but the steering wheel is so much heavier than other circuits. So you really fight hard, and you're looking for oxygen. You know, you open the visor a bit to get the air in. And yeah, with the hot weather, it makes things even more difficult. But last year was interesting, you know, raining outside, dry inside. And also what's tricky here is different asphalt. So yeah, it's a very busy circuit without much resting time.
Thank you very much, Andre, and thank you for joining us, Alan McNish. Excellent work in commentary. We're making you work hard this weekend.
Certainly are, but Andre sounds like he needs to work hard to build up these forearms for driving around here.
It's true, though. Remember, last year they were absolutely exhausted. But, Alan, I'd love to talk to you about this season. It's been a proper topsy-turvy season for some of the drivers. It really has developed quite dramatically for some over the course of the season, and not so much for others. I mean, you can take a look here at how the championship has developed. Nick Cassidy there, pretty much on top. Roland also moving up to the top. Then Evans. You can see the up of Pascal Wehrlein.
But it's da Costa for me. If you look at him, he's absolutely nowhere. And then it gets into his stride at the same time with those victories coming through in the last few rounds. And it's brought him right into the game. And if you look at it as well, Evans kind of was there. Cassidy got into I would say, a rhythm pretty early on with the Jaguar team. And to change teams is not always easy, but he's now been into a position where he's been at the top all the time, but da Costa's definitely came through in the blind side. And as you know, that team's a very strong team when they get the momentum behind them, Andre.
Yeah, definitely, and it's very efficient powertrain, and it was very well developed. So the races he won also were like the kind of peloton races. So let's see if he can pull that off here as well, which is a bit of a different way to race. But yeah, it was great to see him come back like that. I think mentally showed extreme strength. And yeah, imagine if he wouldn't have had that disqualification, he would be right up there and a serious contender.
Yeah, there's always a lot of what ifs and buts, aren't there, in motorsport. Now, there are also a lot of different computations on what can happen and who is going to win the championship title. It gets a bit complicated, so there was only one man for the job. Let's hear now from Saunders CV.
The time is finally here, the season 10 finale, and both drivers and teams' World Championships titles and trophies are still up for grabs. But who are the contenders?
58 points available, meaning mathematically anyone in the top 7 can win it. But Da Costa, Roland, Verne and Dennis, who sit in 4th to 7th, would need not much less than a miracle to make that happen. Essentially, for the top 3 to score 0 points in the first of the 2 races that make up this London finale, to make it go down to the final race. Meaning that we are more likely looking at a top 3 battle for the Drivers' World Championship between Cassidy, Evans and Verline. And there's just 12 points between the 3 of them. The driver in the best position, although only slightly, is Kiwi driver Nick Cassidy on 167 points. 8 podiums and 2 wins so far this season, coming off the back of being runner-up last season. There's not many championships Cassidy has raced in that he hasn't won. And now he's in a strong position to add Formula E to that list.
Yes! Yes!
Cassidy was very strong in London last season, powered by the same powertrain, albeit now with the Jaguar manufacturer team, so surely must be going into this weekend confident. However, the same can be said for his teammate Mitch Evans, also in a Jaguar, also in contention for the championship and also from New Zealand. A super strong second half of the season with 2 wins to leave him just 10 points behind his teammate. This one could get spicy. Both can win. A team's championship is also in the balance, but only one can take home the driver's trophy. And whatever entitlement Cassidy might feel having narrowly missed out on the title last season, Evans has ×4, because he's been in the championship fight at the business end of the season in the last 4 seasons, but falling short each time.
Oh yeah, and one more thing. They're both fighting to be the first Kiwi single-seater world champion since Denny Hume in 1967. But wait, it gets even more interesting than that, because level on points with Mitch Evans, just 12 points behind Cassidy, is Pascal Verline.
3 podiums to his name and has been scoring points more consistently than anyone else. Pascal has also been a bit of a qualifying specialist this season, achieving 3 pole positions, with only Verne to rival him on that front. In London, qualifying and starting position is way more important than what has been the case in pretty much any other race this season. This could go down to the final checkered flag of the season on Sunday. In the team's championship, it's Jaguar TCS Racing in pole position for the title, thanks to the efforts of their driver lineup. But only 33 points behind, with 94 still up for grabs, are Tag Heuer Porsche. So, just 15 points collectively, or either Jaguar driver on the podium for example, would be enough to clinch the team's title on Saturday. Seems fairly likely, but if we've learned anything from Formula E, it's that anything can happen. Just look at how much things changed in Portland alone.
The scene has been set. Now all that's left is for the drama to unfold. It's lights, camera, action.
Saunders is nicking my saying there as well. So, end of the first practice session. Sorry for the technical issues as well. Hopefully, if you're watching this later on the YouTube, it's all been uploaded as one video as well. Join us tomorrow then for practice 2 for all the action. It's championship weekend here for the ABB FIA Formula E season finale. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.